Well, hi everyone, welcome along to today's training session. My name is Roshni and I'm part of the customer team here at SuiteFiles. So today's training we're going to cover off our standard user training where we're going to go through the functionality of the main SuiteFiles apps. So that's the web app, the Outlook add-in and our SuiteDrive app as well. So before we begin, please note that if you've got any questions, you can add them to our Q&A section, which you can see in the Zoom webinar panel. So I'll be keeping an eye on any questions that come in throughout the session, and do note that I am recording and I'll be uploading the session to our YouTube channel, which is called SuiteFiles. So you'll be able to find all of this week's training sessions uploaded to the YouTube channel on Wednesday afternoon. We have some other ways that can help with your training, which is our Help Centre, and this can be found at suitehelp.suitefiles.com. So highly recommend that you bookmark this. You can also access this from within your SuiteFiles menu when you're logged into SuiteFiles, and I'll show you that shortly. And if you can't find what you're looking for in the Help Centre, then you're always welcome to reach out to us at our email address, which is simply support@suitefiles.com. So I'll just do a quick sound check, just making sure that you can all hear me, and just give you a chance to familiarise yourself with the Q&A section. So if you wanted to open up the Q&A section and just let me know that you can hear me okay, and then we'll get started. Perfect. Okay, well, we'll begin. So the very first thing to do will be to log into your SuiteFiles site. So to do this, you'll need to enter your SuiteFiles URL, which you'll hopefully have received via email. But if you don't, it should look a little something like this. So this is my SuiteFiles site. Yours will of course have something different in that first part of the URL, but once you've got the URL, just enter that in. We do recommend that you use the Chrome browser as well, because that will allow you to make use of one of our other add-ins that we'll go through on our Wednesday training session, which is the Chrome extension. So Chrome is the recommended browser. Once you've jumped into your SuiteFiles URL, you will be prompted to log in. So here you'll need to enter your Office 365 email address and your Office 365 password. So because it's using the Office 365 login process, if you have forgotten your username or password at this point, then this is something that you'll need to follow up with your Office 365 administrator. It's not actually something that SuiteFiles has access to. Also, if you've got two-factor auth, then you will be prompted for your code at this point. But once you're logged in, you'll see your SuiteFiles home screen, just like I can here. On the left-hand side, you'll see your folders list, and the top left logo up here, that also acts as a home button too. So if you're navigating through your files and folders and want a really quick way to get back home, you can click either home here or click on the SuiteFiles logo, and that will bring you back to where you started. In the top middle of the screen here, we have the search bar. We can use this to search all for our files or folders, and then underneath we have a few navigation tabs. So we'll go through some of these in a little bit more detail. So files will give you access to this top level folder. So it's the one that you'll see by default when you log into SuiteFiles. And then the favorites, these display any files or folders that you have starred. So you might have some documents around policies or timesheets, things that you access regularly. You might want to add them to your favorites, or you might have a client folder that you're constantly accessing the files from. So in order to star a file, then if you, let's say we have one of our client files here, let's say that this is one that we want to star. If you just look to the right of the file name, if you click on that star once and turn it gold, then that's going to add that to your favorites. If you wanted to star the entire folder, you can do so by clicking on the client folder name, and then to the right of that, click on the star once, and that's going to add the folder to your favorites. So if we jump back in here into our favorites, you can see that our year-end letter has been starred and the 99 Corporation folder has also been starred. So you can navigate between files and folders to find your favorite that you're looking for. If you want to remove something from your favorites, then simply click the star once, and once you navigate out of your favorites back into it, then you're going to see that that is no longer starred. Your recents, they'll display a list of files and folders that have been modified or created recently. So on the left here, you'll see a few filtering options. So you can see either all items or simply just emails. And this option here will just drill down to any of the folders that are stored within your clients folder. You can also here see files or recents accessed by certain people in your team. The images option here is simply a search specifically for image file types, and you've got a few common search options here such as logos, screenshots, and receipts. So they just search for that keyword of logo or screenshot to just help speed up the search process. Tasks will go into a little bit more detail when we look at sharing further on in our session today, but this is where you can manage files and folders that you have shared with other users or other users have shared with you. The scan section, we have a dedicated training session on scanning, which is held tomorrow, but this basically shows you the files that you've uploaded or scanned into SuiteFiles. We allow you to generate an email address that you can enter into your scanner, and if you scan something, then that will automatically land into this scans folder in SuiteFiles, and then you can go ahead and rename it and file it to its final home. And under more, this is where you can manage users and groups if you're an administrator. And we do have a dedicated admin training session this afternoon that will go through this section in more detail. Managing templates. So this option here is something again that an administrator can access, and this is where you can manage all of your templates, file templates, folder templates, and emails that you've created to use as templates in SuiteFiles or in the Outlook add-in. If you are not an administrator, you still can get access to this. So if you do want to have access to the Manage Templates area, then you can definitely reach out to your administrator to get you access to that. And then finally, in the recycle bin, this is where we can see any files that have been deleted recently. So unless you're an administrator, you only see what you yourself have deleted. And then to restore a file, then you can simply click on the restore button here, and that's going to restore the file to its original location in your SuiteFiles site. So not everyone can necessarily delete files or folders. These permissions again are set by your administrator. So if you don't have delete permissions and you would like them, then do contact your administrator. Next, we're going to take a look at how we can set up our user preferences. So we recommend that you do this early on, as it does set up some of the default behaviors that you'll be using every day in SuiteFiles. So to set up your user preferences, just jump into the top right corner where you see your name and then select User Profile Settings. and then File Preferences. So the first option here is whether or not you'd like to show archived content. So if you have this set to yes, then you're going to see any files or folders that anyone in your site has archived. So if you have this set to no, like I do right now, you won't be able to see any of those. So it does keep it nice and tidy, but it's important to be aware of this feature, because if other users have perhaps archived a file or folder that you can't see, it could be that you've got your setting set to no. If you set it to yes and then just close your file preferences window, that's going to save your selection. And if we jump back into our files list here, we can see a bunch of archived files. So that's what an archived file will look like. So just, it's important to be aware of this feature, just for that reason. Sometimes you're not going to be sure if someone has archived something that you're looking for. There is another option to switch on the time in this date last modified column. So back in our file preferences here, the show dates and times option, if we switch that from yes to no and close the setting, then we're going to see that our date last modified just shows the date and doesn't drill down into the time option. So the next and the final preference that we can configure in this area is the Open Office Files in Browser option. So this controls whether, when you click on an Office document in the web app here, whether it opens up in the browser or in its Office app, so the desktop app. So if I click on an Office document, so let's just find an Office document in our clients folder. I'm sure we'll have one handy. So if we click on this, so it's currently set to simply open in the browser, and it's open to preview, but I can't yet edit any of the content. So the option that I have set for my file preferences at the moment just means that every time I click on, say, a Word document, I will need to select the Edit in Browser button. And this is opening the online version of Word. So as you can see, it's pretty fast to open up. I can edit, make changes here. And then simply click the Save and Close button, and it's going to save those changes that we've made. So the only problem, or one of the downsides, I suppose, is that it doesn't have all of the functionality that the Word desktop app might have. And if we go back and change the setting that we were working in, if we jump back in here and we set this to no, then what it's going to do is it's going to open up our files in the app for us. So the first time that we set this is that we are going to get a prompt. So we're going to just check that quickly to always open documents like this and their associated apps. And I guess the difference here is that it is going to take a little bit longer to open up the file. So that's just opened up on my other screen here. But as you can see, it's now open up in Microsoft Word, and we have all of the functionality that comes with this app. So the other thing to note is that you don't need to select a different location to save the file to. So you don't need to do a file or save as. SuiteFiles will save it to the exact same place that you opened up the file from. So we recommend trying out this file preference, whether or not you want to open your files up in the browser or in their equivalent desktop app. It does really come down to a personal preference. Excel files, for example, are a lot more dependent on functions and formulas, so you might want to just sort of have a bit of a play around with what's going to work best for you. So the last setting on that list, that is the open emails in browser. Just keep that set to yes. The protocol that we were using to open emails in the browser no longer unfortunately works, so we are working to get that reinstated. But for now, you can still open up a preview of an email from within SuiteFiles, and you can also use the Outlook add-on, which we'll show you a little bit later on, and that's going to allow you to open up emails from SuiteFiles. So next we're going to take a look at the how you can find things quickly in SuiteFiles, and this is by using folder filters, quick search, and advanced search. So if we jump into our clients folder, which no doubt you'll be in a lot, the way that you can navigate through your client folder structure really quickly is to use the filter for folders field at the top of the list here. So here we can type in a letter, press enter. So if we type in S and hit enter, then that's going to bring us to all of our client folders that start with S. Or we can close that, and if we wanted to get into a little bit more detail, we can type in, say, Suite, and that's going to bring the 4 clients that we have that start with Suite. So that's the folder filtering. It not only works for your clients folder, but any folder in SuiteFiles, you'll see this field throughout. But if you do want to, if you can't find what you're looking for, then you want to head over to that search bar at the top middle of your screen. So if we take a look at the 2 types of search. So the first one is quick search, and we also have an advanced search. So with quick search, you just simply type in your search term into the search bar, and then a list of results will be displayed. So client folders, which are represented by this little person icon here, they're going to be displayed first, followed by any files or other folder types below. It's important to note that the results are restricted to just the top hits. So if you can't find what you're looking for, then move on to the advanced search, which you can do by either clicking this advanced search option here, or by clicking enter, pressing enter on your keyboard. So now we can see we've got over 300 results for our keyword, and so I guess it is still quite a few results. So what we do have on the left-hand side is a number of filters that can be used to lower the number of results that you get. So the content state here all means every single piece of content on your site that matches that search criteria. Current means all sort of active or unarchived files, whereas archived is the option to just view all archived folders or archived files rather. So regardless of the user preference that you had set at the very beginning in your file preferences, if you are searching for a particular archived file, you can always locate any archived files using this advanced search. So you don't necessarily have to jump back into your file preferences and switch that back on to see archived content. You can come in here and do an advanced search for your search term if you wanted to. So of course we do have the file type as well. So if you're looking for a particular file type, such as a Word document, then just enter and click on that filter, and it's going to just reduce the results to just your Word documents. If you're looking for a particular client as well, then you can hopefully start to drill down even further until you find the document that you've been looking for. The financial year option, that's going to look for any subfolder that contains the year, or if you don't have the year in the subfolder name, it's going to look at the date last modified year. We also have the last modified by user as well. So if we know that it was is me, who last modified, that's the file that I've been looking for. So here, once you're in the file, you can navigate back through by clicking on these folder links here to be taken back to any part of the folder structure. The other option here is we do have a search in current folder. So if you're looking for something in particular from the, let's just jump back into ATS accounting folder. So if you are looking for a particular file that you know is in the ATS accounting folder, but you're just not sure where, then you do also have this search in current folder option as well. So that's going to bring the 3 files that match the terms test in ATS accounting. So now we'll take a look at a few folder and file basics. So first of all, we'll navigate back through to the home screen here, and let's say we want to create a new client folder. Go into your clients folder here, and you can either click the 3 dots to the right of the folder name and click create subfolder, or come over here to the right and click the create button. Then select new folder. So you want to give this folder a name. And then select create. So once you've done that, you'll automatically be taken into the new folder. If you want to delete a folder and you have permission to do so, then click on the 3 dots to the right of the folder path and then select delete. If you're not an administrator or you don't have delete access, then you will see a message telling you at this point that you don't have permission to do that. One other note is that there is a trash folder by default in SuiteFiles. It's just sitting at the very top level of your folders, and it's called trash. If you don't have delete permissions, then you can also move files or folders into this trash folder. So it's simply a folder called trash. It's not anything special. It's not exactly like the recycle bin, but it can be a way, if you don't have delete permission, you can move files into the trash, and every once in a while someone that does have delete permissions can go ahead and remove those files from your site. We also have the ability to create folder templates and use these every time that we create, say, a new client folder. So in order to create a folder template, you need to create the folder structure first. So we do have a few examples already set up, such as new client templates. So every time I create a new client folder, these are the folders and the folder structure that I'd like to set up. So we've got an email, engagement folder. You can have subfolders within them, such as the annual return, GST and payroll, that you can see within each financial year folder. But it is important that you set them up as a folder structure first before turning it into a template. So once you've got that all set up, just be at the highest level of the folder like I am here, click on the 3 dots to the right of the file name, and then click the template folder button. You'll need to create a name for the folder template. And you can enter in a description for this template if you want, and then click create and close. So just so that you're aware, once you save a folder structure as a template, like I am here, it's taking a copy of that folder. So this folder structure that we just used to save the template is not linked at all. You can't make any edits to the original and have them reflected in the folder template. So that's just one thing to note. If you are wanting to make edits, you will need to actually delete the folder template from your template manager and then jump into, if you've stored your originals, then just jump in here and say delete that particular folder, maybe the financial year you don't need anymore, and then re-template that folder. And do note that the more folders that you put in here into your folder template, then there's going to be more of a time delay when creating it or using it to apply to a new client folder. If you do have any files as part of the folder structure, it is going to take copies of those files as well as the folders. So just make sure that everything's nice and tidy before turning them into a folder template. So to use the folder template, we can go back into our clients folder, click the three dots here, we'll create that client again. But this time I'm going to choose a folder template. So the new client company folders from the 15th of October, the ones that I just created, and select create. So you can see here now under the clients folder, SPS Accounting has all of the subfolders that came along with my folder template. If we want to create a file, then we can do so within the folder that we want to ultimately store the file within. So let's say we're going to be creating a letter, for example, jump into the folder that you want to store it into and then click the create button. And here you can select from one of these file types. So we'll use Word in this case. And then select Create Word Document. So this is going to create a new file and open that file up so you can start editing it straight away. You might have noticed that the file types available from the drop down here, these are Microsoft Office file types only, and there is a reason for this, and that's because SuiteFiles is built on top of or integrated with Office 365, so we are storing things in Office 365, so it opens them up in Office 365. We do also have some file options, so if we click on the three dots to the right of the file name, it brings up options for that specific file. So you can download files. If you do download them, please note that this does break the link between the file or anything that you save and SuiteFiles. So just tread carefully with that one. You can share files, which we'll go through in more detail very, very soon. You can edit and rename the file and archive. So you can see here, or unarchive, and you can move and copy files from this list as well. If you say had a few more files in the list, so let's jump back into the client we've been working with more recently. Someone's gone and cleared out a whole bunch of stuff. So let me find some more files. Okay, so when you have a few files here, then you can perform bulk actions. So if you hover over the file icon, then this turns it into a checkbox. You can then opt to select all if you want, and then you have these bulk actions up the top here. So you can delete a whole bunch of files at once, archive or unarchive. You can move and copy or download those files. So Just note that if you are opting to download multiple files, then just note that you do need to ensure that you don't have your pop-ups blocked for SuiteFiles. So the first time that you click on download, you might find that it's only downloading one, but here in my case, it's downloading all three, and that's because I don't have any pop-ups blocked. So if you do see a little, if you only end up downloading one file and you see a little pop-up notification, pop-ups blocked notification in your browser here, then that's going to just mean that you need to enable pop-ups, and then you can try again. Instead of doing the Move Copy option, which allows you to navigate through and click the Move Copy buttons, you can also use some shortcuts on your keyboard. So if you wanted to, say, move these three files into a different folder, then on your keyboard you can press Ctrl X, and that's going to cut the files from their current location. You can then navigate through to the folder that you want to ultimately store them into, and then press Ctrl V. And so that will paste them into that file, into that folder. If you want to take copies, then you can also use the copy option. So Ctrl C and Ctrl V. So it's a really quick way to move files around, whether or not you're moving them or copying them. Those keyboard shortcuts can be a real time saver. So next we'll take a look at sharing folders with users on your site. So just note that you cannot share folders with external users. So those are people that don't have access to your Office 365 account. So they don't have access to your SuiteFiles. If you do want to share a folder with a colleague, then you can click the three dots to the right of the folder name and then click Share With. And then in the text box, you want to enter the names of the people that you want to share the folder with. Cool, and then you can enter a sharing message. So and you've got some options here to let the person receiving your folder know a little context as to why you're sharing that with them. So they're going to receive a notification in their site. So in their SuiteFiles, where they see the bell icon, they'll receive a notification there to let them know that a folder has been shared with them. If you want to share a file, you can share a file with both internal and external users. So to do that, you can click on the three dots to the right of the file name and then click Share. Okay, so if we're sharing with someone that is within our site, then we simply need to type in their username and then select them from the list here. And if we want to share it with an external user, then you will need to enter in their entire email address. And then after you've entered in the email address, you've got to make sure that you press enter. And then once you do so, then you'll see that any external users that you're sharing the file with will be in orange, and then the internal users will just be in this lighter grey colour. You're able to share with multiple internal and external users, and again you can enter in a message here. So for example, select one of the three options here and then click share. So we can actually have a look in our emails and we should be able to see an example. I'll just bring that over here. We can see an example here of the file that has been shared with me. And this is the one that this will be as if you're sharing with an external user. This is the email that they receive in their inbox. So it'll say that Roshni has invited you to download a file from SuiteFiles, and then they'll see this download link, or they can click on this button here to be taken to that file. So this interface here, it does look very similar to SuiteFiles, but it doesn't have that same functionality. So the user that you've shared the file with will only have access to download a copy of that file to their system. So they don't get access to the live file in SuiteFiles, just a copy of it. The way that we can keep track of the files that we've shared with other users and what they've shared with us is through the tasks section in SuiteFiles. So that's the one at the top here in the middle. And if we click on the sent items here, we can keep track of ones that we have sent. Completed are ones that we've received but we've actioned, so we've marked them as done, and external shows what we have shared externally. So you can see this is the one that I've just shared externally and with home. And if I go into my new tasks, I can see that the files here, these ones have been shared with me. I can add a note. Click add note. And that's going to simply be added to this particular file or folder. It's not going to be public to anyone other than yourself and whoever shared that file or folder with you. Once you've completed that, you can then mark that as done. It will grey it out from your tasks, your notifications will be removed, and the next time you navigate through to the new files, you won't see anything left to action. So you can always access it back in your completed items. Okay, so next we're going to take a look at the Outlook app. So first of all, what we need to do is download the Outlook add-in, and this can be done by going into our Downloads section. So just click on your username, click on Download Apps, and select Download SuiteFiles for Outlook. Okay, so this downloads a zip file here. You want to open that one up. And then open up the disk1 folder and run the SuiteMail installer. So just click yes, and that's going to install the add-in for us. And then the next time you open up your Outlook, then you're going to see the Outlook add-in on the right-hand side of your screen here. So to log in, click on the Login to SuiteFiles button, and let's just try that again. Give it a little moment. There you go. So it is going to ask for your site URL, your username and your password. So these are exactly the same credentials that you use to log in to SuiteFiles. One way to get your site URL to enter into this first field here is to jump back into your SuiteFiles site and just copy and paste your URL up until the .com. So just copy that, paste it into the first field here, and then enter in your username and password. So this is going to log you into the app. And if you keep an eye out on the right hand side of my screen here, you're soon going to see the full file system from SuiteFiles. So here we've got the top level folder structure. We have these navigation tabs along the top here. The clients tab here will show us all of our client folders. We've got our recents and any favorites. We also have a search bar up the top. So by default, we're searching for clients. We can search for emails as well from here. So if we're looking for a particular client, say 99 Corporation, we can just navigate through our folders and folder structure just like we can do in SuiteFiles. And now that I have this open, then I can use it as a location to save to. I can open files from here and preview any emails or documents and open them up from the Outlook add-in. So let's have a look at how we can save emails from our inbox. So if we navigate first into the folder that we're going to be saving the email into, so we'll just jump back into the 99 Corporation. So you can use the back keys here to navigate through. Let's jump into the correspondence folder for 99 Corporation. And in my inbox here, I have a couple of emails that have come in. So if we want to save this particular email into the correspondence folder, then all we need to do is drag and drop that email and release that, and that's going to be uploaded. So you can track the progress of your uploads in the bottom corner of the Outlook add-in, and then you can see here under the correspondence folder, we now have the welcome aboard email. If we do have a file with an attachment, so such as this, we can either drag and drop the entire email, but that's not going to allow us easy access to the attachment. You will need to open up the full email before you can access the attachment. So if we have a look at what that looks like, if we click on the 99 Corporation email, you can see that we have an attachment here, but it's not until we click on this Open Message in Outlook button that we'll actually be able to access that stored copy of the email. If we want to have easier access to that attachment, or if we want to file that particular attachment in a different folder, we can do that by simply navigating through to where we want to store that and dragging and dropping the attachment and filing that into SuiteFiles. So you'll also have noticed that when I do add anything to SuiteFiles, you do get this blue categorization. So if we see here that anything that I do drag and drop into SuiteFiles gets automatically assigned to the category added to SuiteFiles. So that happens automatically by installing the Outlook add-in. You can also drag and drop multiple emails at a time. So just simply by holding Control on your keyboard, you can drag and drop several files at once, and you can see their progress in the in the progress bar down below. If you want to save emails when you're sending them, so let's just say if we're creating a brand new email, what you can do is once you click on send with the Outlook add-in, it is going to prompt you as to whether or not you would like to save a copy or file this email into SuiteFiles. So you can create a name for the file, and then using the drop down here, you can navigate through to your client's folder and then subfolders. And once you're at the level that you want to save the email to, you then have these options. So you can either cancel, send and not file it, or of course what we want to do is of course send and file that away into the 99 Corporation correspondence folder. So if we jump back into the 99 Corporation correspondence folder, then we can see the save on send has been filed away. And there it is. If you wanted to, with the save on send message, if you don't just want to have that showing the list of clients, if you want to have the ability to store or file emails in any of your other top level folders, then just click on your settings icon, the cog in the bottom right corner of the screen here, and where it says prompt me to save on send to the clients folder, which is what it sets to as default, just click on that drop down and switch it back to home, and that's going to ensure that the next time you send an email that you've got your other folders, not just your clients folders, to file into. You can also attach files from SuiteFiles straight into an email. So if you click on the new email button, then up the top here you have the attach from SuiteFiles option. So just click that. This is going to bring up a window and you can navigate through your site until you find any of the files that you want to attach to the email. So you can click multiple, you can navigate through, and I don't have any files there. But you can attach several files at once. When you're done, just click the X in the top right of your screen, and those copies of those files are now ready to be sent to your client. So that covers the Outlook add-in. So Amir has asked if I can go through the saving of the documents again. So is that where we're in your inbox and dragging and dropping the documents into the Outlook add-in on the right hand side? I can definitely do that. Amir, if you could just confirm that that's what you want me to cover off again, that would be great. And if you do have any specific questions on that, then do let me know. But if we just go through that again quickly, on the left here, you can see that I've got a few emails. So if I do want to save any of those emails into SuiteFiles, then I just navigate through the folder structure on the right-hand side of my screen, so in the Outlook add-in. And, oh, okay, so he just said that. Oh, to connect SuiteFiles to Outlook. Oh, okay, so the process for downloading the Outlook add-in is to jump into SuiteFiles, and in the top right corner, you've got your username. Click on the Download Apps option, and then click on the Download button for SuiteFiles for Outlook. And then what that's going to do is it's going to just download this zip file here. So I'll just open that up, and then you'll click on the disk 1 folder, and then that's going to run the SuiteMail installer. So just double click the SuiteMail Windows installer package, and then once that's done its thing, then when you next open Outlook, it will show you something similar to this. Okay, so this panel on the right hand side, and then you'll just click on the login to SuiteFiles button, and then you'll enter in your site URL, your Office 365 username, and your Office 365 password. And then once you've logged in, then you'll have all of that functionality that I've just gone through over the last wee while. So we do have help for this on our Help Centre as well. So we do have step-by-step instructions. So I encourage you to jump onto the Help Centre and look that up. But if you do have any questions following today's training session around installation, then please just reach out to us at support@suitefiles.com, and we'll be happy to help you out. So one last thing to look at for today's session is to have a look at the SuiteDrive app. So this maps a drive in your File Explorer to your SuiteFiles site. So it does allow you to access your files from SuiteFiles in the File Explorer. There are a number of things to just be aware of. One of those being that it doesn't actually sync or store items locally or offline. It is retrieving everything from the cloud directly from your SuiteFiles site. So there will be a time difference of how long it might take to load or save things compared to if you were saving it to your desktop. So that's just something to be aware of. That's because every time you're performing any action like that, it is having to upload or retrieve things from the cloud. And it's not meant or designed to be a replacement or an alternative to the web app. So I should have clarified that when I do talk about the web app, I'm talking about this version of SuiteFiles that we've spent a lot of time in today. That's what we call the web app. The SuiteDrive app that I'll show you shortly is not meant to be a replacement for this. It's simply an add-on, and you'll find it much more beneficial to use our web app. It is the main app and our best performing one. So with that being said, to download the SuiteDrive, we go back into our Download Centre and click on Download Apps. And then the last option here is Drive. Click on Download. And again, we're downloading this time it's an exe file. Just click that to run and read any of the resulting messages. In this case, I want to click yes. I do want to allow SuiteDrive to make changes to my site, and I'm going to click the accept and update option. Also note that Windows 7 is not necessarily supported for SuiteDrive. Windows 8 and 10 are our supported operating systems, but we do have a Help Centre article around using SuiteDrive on Windows 7, so do check that out if you fall into that camp. The other thing to note is that SuiteDrive is not supported for terminal servers or for those on Mac, so just something to keep in mind. Okay. Okay, so now that it's been installed, the next step is to log in. So let's close all of this. And to log into the Suite Drive, you'll need to navigate through to your hidden icons. So this is the arrow, the pointing up arrow in your on your desktop there, and you want to find the Suite Drive icon, so the SuiteFiles icon here, and right click and then select Login. So you want to enter in your site URL. So again, you can jump into SuiteFiles and copy and paste that portion of your site URL, paste that in, and then again enter in your Office 365 email and Office 365 password. And click Login to SuiteFiles. Cool. So once you see that notification, if you can't see SuiteFiles in your list of drives in File Explorer, or if you do see something like this, then what you can do is you might just need to restart the drive. So just right click the SuiteFiles drive icon, click exit, and then you should have a shortcut on your desktop. Just double click that and that should get you up and running. So what you want to see when you're when you open your File Explorer, if I just bring my File Explorer across here, is you want to see the SuiteFiles drive, which can be accessed by just clicking on SuiteFiles. You'll also see SuiteFiles S drive, which is the same thing. So from here you can see you can navigate through your files and folders just like you can in any of your folders on your computer. And as I said, it's just designed to help you access your files, but it's not necessarily a replacement for the web app. So just keep that in mind. It can be great for opening files and editing them straight away for things such as PDFs that we can't open by default out of the SuiteFiles web app. So it can be used for those sorts of examples. So that brings us to the end of our session today. Thank you guys for your attendance. If you do have any final questions, then please feel free to add them into the Q&A section. I'll do my best to answer them. And so Amir did have one final question. So if we have created an Excel file or any file, can we save it straight to SuiteFiles instead of saving first to desktop, then dragging it into SuiteFiles? So yes, this would be a way to do that. You can simply select the SuiteFiles option where if you're creating the Excel file from scratch. But do keep in mind that you can create Excel files from scratch directly within the web app, and that's by clicking the create and then select the Excel option. And if you do have your file preferences set to open up in the desktop apps, so if you have your file preference, this one here, let's try that again. If you have your user profile file preferences set to no, then if you are creating an Excel file from scratch, then that's going to open up by default into Excel, into the desktop app. You'll have the full functionality there, and if you make any changes or save, then those are going to go straight back into SuiteFiles automatically. So have a bit of a play around. All of the apps are there to help you find the best way that you like to work with your files, and hopefully today you've learned a few different options and can work out which option is going to suit you best. All right, well, thanks everyone for your attendance, and I look forward to seeing you again at one of our future training sessions.